Okay, this is going to be the starter version as compared to Blake's Pro version. Magnitude 1, Mars, the moon, versus magnitude 14. So, thank you. So I was in the Atacama, in Chile, San Pedro de Atacama, for a couple of weeks to observe the southern sky. The trip was arranged by Malcolm Park. Now, a lot of the names on this list you might know of people who were there. Dave Chapman, he's in charge of the observing program for RASC nationally. Lynn Hilburn's a renowned astrophotographer, as is Fred Espenek. He's the eclipse guy. He was there. Jerry Black's a really good photographer. You'll see some photographs from all of these people. So there were 11 of us. One guy left early, but so we basically had 10 people. I have to remark on Melody here. This little star, she only has binoculars. She came down with a list of 50 southern sky objects to observe and sketch, and she did it in 2 weeks, except for a few at the end because we had aircraft problems. They canceled our flights and we had to rearrange them. But she did it. It was a remarkable feat. So this is the area we were in. This is about a 100 square kilometer area. Every place you see a red star, there's a San Pedro right up here. We were lodged about right here, but every place there was a red star, some kind of astronomical event occurred, and I'm going to talk about each of those in sequence here. So what are the Atacama A's? Okay. Oh, no. It's not a major or minor league baseball team or the Astros or anything. It's first of all, it's astronomy. And next, it's adventure. We had some adventures. I'm only going to go with one that's a non-astronomical related adventure. And all the rest. Now, if you don't like acronyms, you can leave. So all of those are telescopes that are on this observatory that's called the Llano de Chajnantor Observatory, set up by the government of Chile. It's about 20 square kilometers in area at an elevation. All of those are at an elevation of over 4,800 meters. So I don't think many people know all of those are there. We know Alma is there. I've talked about this before, and I'll talk about it briefly again. But I don't know how many of you know that all of those other things exist there. And for the most part, they're all involved with researching the cosmic microwave background. They do something they're all radio-type telescopes. Okay, this is where we stayed. This is where we've stayed before. The proprietor is an astronomer, and he makes his living by running sky tours at night. There are about 3 busloads of people that come out from San Pedro, and he gives them a sky tour. And he uses this setup right here. There are about 10 Dobsonian telescopes set up, and he uses those for his sky tours. We lived in the lodges here and here. The observers, the 4 observers, used this pad right here for observing. The imagers used this area here where they could get power, and some of them went out in here. I want you to remember this little spot here. I'll show you in the next slide. But the observers, we had the chance to use one of these telescopes, this one here. It's a 16-inch Dob. Every night after midnight, after he finished with his tours, and a few nights before midnight. So we had some good observing from there. It was mainly Dave Chapman and I that went up there after midnight and spent several hours. So here's the tree. This is an image by Jerry Black. I'm just going to show you a few of the images that some of the real photographers got. They're astro imagers. This was a 20-frame time-lapse sequence stacked with starry landscape stacker. This is one of Lynn Hilburn's images. How many of you are familiar with him and his images? Yeah. you know. And as you can see, it says, I came, I saw, I was conquered. This was 3 o'clock in the desert. That's Lynn right there, posing between the small and large Magellanic Clouds. It's a seven image panel by Lynn. I had to use another one of his too because it's just spectacular. You know, all those are stars. Just blows my mind, you know. And this was 8 by 2 minutes. I just can't stop looking at that one. This is one by Malcolm Park. Most of you here, I think, know Malcolm Park. This was a 300-second image, and he used a tracker, Star Adventurer tracker. This shows the famous targets that most people know up here. So here's the Centaurus A and B, the Pointer Stars. Here's the Southern Cross here. The Coalsack, Eta Carina, and this is my favorite. This is the little constellation Musca down here, and here's the dark doodad running through there. That's real. It's got a fancy name, but that's real. Okay. Now I'm going to borrow from Andy Beaton here. Here's the special image. It's mine. And this is a one-shot, untracked camera on a tripod. Wow. So sure, but I'm going to move on to the next one because it shows a little bit more. So here's another one, same thing. I like this one because I managed to get the large Magellanic Cloud in it. So, and it's also got lots of stuff in it. So here's the Southern Cross, Coalsack Nebula, Eta Carina. This is the Southern Pleiades right here. Here's a false cross. If I can see it from here, it's kind of hard to spot. Okay, here it is. Here, 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 and here. Okay, people get that mixed up if they're not familiar with the sky, you know, but, excuse me. And next to it is this Omicron Velorum cluster, Southern Beehive cluster, Canopus, and the large Magellanic Cloud. Okay, so, okay, moving on. Okay, we did get to Alma. They're now giving tours on Saturday and Sunday mornings. They bring a bus out from San Pedro to the control center, and we were lucky. The 4 of us went here. Had to wear hard hats. We were lucky in that they had a dish in for repair, down from the array. They had brought it in for repair, so we got to walk all around and see that. And they also had both transporters in, so we got to walk around and look at those. These things just amaze me. You know, they drag those dishes around, they drag them up to the array, and then they drag them around the array and situate them. It's quite the machines. Okay, they have a nice visitor center, and somebody's got time on their hands because they made Lego models of a transporter and of a dish. Okay, so we actually got a live view of the array at, you know, April 15th at 11 o'clock. And this is an overhead view of the array. They've got them arranged more closely together than sometimes. It depends on what project they're looking at. How they can arrange these large dishes out to 16 kilometers. So it can be quite a large array. Okay, so all the rest of the mostly A's. Now I should have called these Atacama O's because these are all observatories. But I only thought of that today. So, so we're just going to run through these pretty quickly. The science is pretty much over my head, but I'll give it a go. So this is up on the plain. This is about a 20 square kilometer area here. And all of those are located up there. They're all over 4,800 meters. This is in what's called a Pleistocene volcanic system. This is these huge plains surrounded by volcanic mountains and lava domes and such. And okay, I'm going to talk about these first. We had a flight problem, so Malcolm and I had an extra day there. And the other people had to go back the day before in order to make our connection with Air Canada to come back from Santiago to Canada. So Malcolm and I decided to drive up and see what we could see up here. So we drove up on this little road and got up to here and stopped about right here. And we observed all these things. The only one we knew what it was the ACT. Either of us have a clue about all this other stuff that's up there. So it's a 6-meter telescope designed to make high-resolution microwave surveys of the sky in order to study the CMB. And it's at 17,000 feet. So I'll come back to this one later. We had an adventure with this. This is the Apex. It was an ALMA prototype from 2005. They used it to kind of predict what they wanted to see to find targets that ALMA would be able to study in greater detail. What interested me, I didn't know before I looked this up what a bolometer was. This one on this instrument is the largest one in the world. It detects tiny temperature changes caused by the faint sub-millimeter radiation. Okay, Asti is a pre-prototype for ALMA. The first light in it was 2004. This is a Japanese-built dish. The Japanese are partners in ALMA, so they have built some number of the dishes that are at the ALMA site. Moving on. Class. Okay, here. Cosmology Large Angular Scale Surveyor. This one makes precise measurements of the polarization of the CMB. This is a newer instrument. I think it was 2016. I forgot to put that on there, 2016. And we saw this one. Here's the Polar Bear Observatory. This one came online in 2012. It's a polarimetry experiment. And here, you just lose me here, which aims to characterize the minute angular scale B mode signal. I'm stopping there. I assume that's how they got the name, polarimetry and B mode. They named it Polar Bear. But we'll also study how the light from the CMB is deflected by the intervening structure in the universe. Okay. Cerro Chajnantor Atacama Telescope. This one's interesting. There are 40 Canadian scientists are collaborating on this one. It's in process of construction. First light is 2021. Okay, it'll be the highest telescope in the world when it's finished, 5,600 meters. Here's Scott Chapman from Dalhousie. He's one of the collaborators up there working on it. And this is what it's expected to look like. It'll be a wide field of view telescope capable of mapping the sky very rapidly and efficiently. So that one's one to watch out for. We didn't see that one. It was up and around a mountain where we couldn't see it. But we knew it was, after I came back and looked, I know it's there. Okay, this is continued. If anybody wants to read this, I'll just stand here for a minute. But what caught my eye was it will also be a next generation CMB observatory. Everyone through with this? Yes. Okay, the last one is Nanten, which in Japanese means southern sky. It's a 4-meter sub-millimeter telescope in a collaboration. It's out on a plane, collaboration by all of these countries here. So all of that stuff is up there. Okay, now we're going to have a touristic adventure. Where's Mark? Where's Paul? Okay, this is my only tourism slide here. Look at that volcano. We were on the way back from the El Tatio geysers and saw this spewing. It was spewing sulfur in two spots. And so we were tooling along, and we saw these big rocks on the side of the road. So we got out and we walked over and looked at them, and they're sulfur. And there's the volcano in the background. There's Dave Chapman there, Malcolm, and this is Melody, the gal that got her certificate. We decided, after talking about it, that they do a lot of sulfur mining in this area, and that these big chunks are probably just chunks that fell off the back of a truck when they were moving. That's our guess, anyway. Okay, on to an observing adventure at Laguna Lahia. This was gorgeous up here. The objective in going up here was twofold. The one was the imagers in the group wanted to get some scenic images with like a laguna, mountains, really dark sky. So we went trekking up there at dusk to do this. So here's a small story here. So this little spot right here is where we left the road. This is the main highway. It's 40K back to San Pedro. And here's where we're going, Laguna Lahia. That's 62K on this road. Okay. This road is narrow, dirt, gravel, steep. You're going from, let me see, I gotta see this. Going from 8,000 feet here at Tocanao up to 14,000 feet here. So there's a climb. And rutted, narrow, windy. We stopped, it took us about 2.5 hours to get up there, but we stopped along the way because it was still daylight before we got up there. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So this is from my phone. It's pretty reasonably accurate. So we were at 4,300 meters here. We had twofold purposes. One was the imagers wanted to get this lovely scenic location here. The other was because there's a meteor crater here. And we thought, oh, we can get up there in time. We'll go up there and see the meteor crater, come back and set up down here. So we drove along this road up here. Malcolm's in we had RAV4s. Malcolm's in the first vehicle, and I'm driving the second one. And we get up here, we get up to this point, and Malcolm stalls. So I'm behind him. I have to put my brakes on. I stall. You know, couldn't get it going. We just finally, the angle was quite steep. I don't know, 30 to 45. It was steep. And at this high altitude, I guess we just figured out the cars couldn't do it. Couldn't breathe it. We thought about getting out and walking up to that, but by the time we do that at that altitude with people who weren't used to this, you know, it would be dark. So we just turned around and went back down over to here. So this is what the Laguna looks like. I got these snaps just before, you know, just before sunset. But we got there so that they could run down and take them up. So this is just kind of a scan around the lake. Salt, you know, here's salt, it's a salt lake. And there's the other one. And the guys were set up, you know, down close to in here somewhere. Okay, so this is Dave Chapman's image, and this is untracked. It's camera on a tripod down by that lake. You know, you can see the laguna. It's a little dark in here, and the mountains and the sky. And I wondered why the sky had that kind of texture to it, and he's a physicist, so he explained it. It's a natural air glow from the recombination of ionized molecules created by solar UV light from 100K and up in the atmosphere. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a wonderful picture with a camera and a tripod. Okay, so here's our next observing adventure at the Valley of the Moon, which is just west of San Pedro. We went up there at sunset in order to try to track the Earth's shadow moving across the valley. It was an adventure because it was full of tourists, and getting to find a spot, you know, where you could set up equipment and get a clear view was hard. We finally did it. These are by taken by Jerry Black. He made a video of this, and I just took screenshots off of that. So, you know, here you can see the shadow down here. He didn't get it set up in time to get photos all the way across, but he got this, and then it's a little farther here, then it's up the mountains, and here it's gone. So I really like that. But what he used was this. Has anybody here ever used this dynamic perception stage 1 slider? Does anybody know about these? Some few people. I'd never seen one before. It's a step. Here's the camera and the intervalometer on here on this slider, and it's a move, take a shot, move, take a shot, move, take a shot. Yeah. He mainly uses it for sunset to sunrise photography. So, okay, here's the last adventure, and I'm almost through. This is a high Atacama adventure that Malcolm and I experienced. And so we're up, this is from my phone. It's not quite right, accurate because we're only about 15 feet below here, which is at 17,000, but it's close enough. We're over 5,000 meters. So why are we up there? Do you want to know? Guess what those little things in white spots in the background are? Those are the Atacama dishes. That's the Atacama Array, the Alma Array. Okay, and we're up here above them looking down, so we're busy patting ourselves on the back. So the road here, we drove up, down, around here. I'll show you that later. We drove on down here and got as close as we felt comfortable getting to them to get this picture. And as you can see, it's like you saw before, the dishes are all arrayed pretty close together. This is the correlator building here, which is where the signals from all of the dishes come into. They're processed, and then they're sent down to the control center from there. Okay, on the way, just casual pictures here, we did see Apex and Nantan and Asti, but we didn't know what they were. So here's our adventure. So Malcolm and I drove up to here, and then we came back down. We took this road past Apex and down around, and we stopped about right here to take our pictures. And Malcolm said, you know what, I've been studying the maps, and I think we can go back out to the main road, which is up here, by just following this road on around, instead of having to go all the way back out, which would have taken, about an hour. So we tooled along this road here. Guess what? Guess what? So we sit there, and Malcolm says, I think I see a gate over there, right here. So we took off across this little distance in country. Yes, there's a gate there. It's locked. So we sit there thinking, okay, I guess we're just going to have to go back. We'll just go back the same way. It's no big deal. There's still lots of light. In the meantime, we see this little white van tooling down this road here. And we looked at each other and thought, rats, we've been nabbed. We're not supposed to be here. But no, there were 4 guys in the van, and Malcolm just put his hand out the window, and he pointed to the gate, and he said, salida, por favor, meaning exit, please. The guy said, no problemo, no problemo, no problemo. He got out, they opened the gate, we whizzed on out to the highway, which is right there, and I thought as we were doing that, you know what, it's 5 o'clock. These guys are getting off work. They're going home. If we had been any earlier or any later, we'd have had to make this trek all the way back. So that was our little adventure up there. So when we got back to the lodges, this is what greeted us on our last night there, this nice sunset and the little moon and Venus. Okay, so I'd have to thank all of these people who let me use their photographs and their images and all this plant. And I'm going to leave you with my favorite volcano, Likan Kabur. This reigns supreme over the whole Atacama Valley. Thank you for listening to me. So what do I do to escape this?
It's for Charlene.
Just one question,
Can I
Charlene.
just leave this here for a minute? Yes.
Me.
Oh. Oh my.
How did you breathe at 5,000 meters and 5,600 meters?
Yeah.
I had trouble enough at
you
4,000.
don't go running around. No. We had planned that the mountain Saratoco right by that was 18,000 feet. We were going to do a hike up there. Some of us. Well, no, and some of us had prepared, except Malcolm hadn't. There's an altitude pill you can get from a travel doctor called Diamox. Mm-hmm. And we didn't get to do that hike because of this flight business. But I had been taking the pills for a couple of days. And I don't have altitude trouble anyway. Malcolm had a little bit. He said, you talk, I'm going to be quiet for a while. But we were fine. As long as you know the rules, you don't bend over and stand up quickly. You go slowly. But someone pointed out to me that the, I can't remember the title, that the air pressure up there is half of what it is here. You know, and I hadn't really even really thought about that. But, and only one of our people who'd never been out of, you know, more than sea level, she got a little bit sick, you know, the first day, but everybody else managed. But Malcolm and I were the only ones that went up there. So, anything else? I encourage you to go. As you can see, you can go with binoculars, with nothing. I just have a small telescope, camera on a tripod, or you can, with all this imaging equipment, whatever you want, you can get there. You know, and do. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to visit. So.
One question from online. He wanted to know if how long it took to plan this, and is it just a private group that you guys just got together? And
Malcolm Park arranges these tours, and it's just whenever he thinks he wants to go again, which is all the time, you know. And this is the second one with him I've been on, and I was on one before, so it's my third time there, and I would go back tomorrow. I just love it there. It's just wonderful. But now Malcolm's a member of the RASC, you know, and everybody else was too. Right. And I think it's been, to this point, kind of word of mouth.
Sure.
So,
So you didn't have oxygen tanks?
No.
I heard that going to Alma,
no, last time we
they
went,
had to have oxygen tanks.
well, you go up if you're working. But we were in a car. We were in that RAV4. We were just driving, you know. We weren't working. I'm sure that Dr. Chapman, who was working on the one that's at 18,000 feet, I'm sure he had a backpack with oxygen. Because if you're working, you need extra oxygen. You just can't do it. The drivers on those transporters, there's 2 drivers, and they have giant tanks of oxygen in there that they have to take with them all the time. All the people that work up there at the Alma dishes have oxygen. So we were just silly tourists. So.
Quick question. Is it a touristy type tour? Or is it more of an
this was designed to go take nice pictures of the sky, because there were these 7 imagers who do really good work, and there are 4 of us who just wanted to look, and I wanted to take a few pictures too. So no, it's not the first time I went there, it was an organized tour by I don't see him here tonight, by these MWT tours that take astronomical related tours. But Malcolm, it's just a private tour. We go, those who want, we do touristy things during the day if you want to. Several people didn't. You know, we went to a lot of places that I didn't show here because I wanted to keep it just on astronomy related items. So there's a lot to do there.
Are there a lot of tourists there, like while you were there?
Oh yeah. And I know one. We can talk later about that if you want. Yeah. So Ed's been there before. He was on the last one with Malcolm's trip. Okay. Anything else? No? Okay. Thank you.